Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Chilling with Death. I'm Deathface, and I got Damien chilling here with me as well. How's it going, bro? What are we talking about today?
It's going good, man. It's going good. Thanks for asking. Sorry, I'm currently eating. Yeah, it's going good. You mentioned it a bit ago, but yeah, it is a pretty late episode. Just had a lot going on today. Uh, Father's Day being today, and just kind of taking care of the kids all day today, basically. So apologize. This will probably be uploaded by tomorrow rather than usual Sunday. But if you're listening to it, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Anyways, today we are talking about kind of still continuing with what happened last week, as we still got some more things that came out even after Summer Game Fest, State of Play, the Xbox Direct. So we'll be talking about the Konami presentation that they had. We'll have some gaming news here for you, and then I will also be talking about a little bit more about the Nintendo Switch too, as there were some things that I left out. So before that, what have you been up to? What have you been playing?
Yeah, bro. First of all, happy Father's Day to the fathers out there. Happy Father's Day to you too, man.
Thank you.
Glad to hear you had a good one. Uh, but as for me, um, I recently, well, I haven't completely 100% finished Expedition 33 yet.
Yeah.
I'm doing the end game stuff, but um, I did start up a new playthrough, a game that just came out on PC, Stellar Blade. You
Yeah.
know, everybody knows that game for
For all the wrong
specific reason.
reasons.
Yeah, uh, and I've been wanting to check this game out, man, you know, ever since it came out. But like, I wasn't 100% dedicated at the time when this game came out to gaming, to picking up new stuff. So got my PC, transferred over to mainly playing PC, and was just hoping this game was going to come out on PC.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And finally it did. So I've been playing that. Anybody who saw the last YouTube video, I did have the Stellar game gameplay in the beginning, and it's just the beginning part of the game. Still playing it. I'm still in the very early stages. So um, overall, man, that game is great. I did play the demo right before it came out, and I was a little skeptical on the the combat because in all honesty, the combat it's fine when once I'm got used to it, but it did feel a little like I I don't want to say outdated, but well, maybe it just felt weird. It felt different from anything that I've played.
Yeah.
There's still a parry system, there's still dodging, but it doesn't respond in like maybe some previous games that I've played. Um, you have to be um, more. You have to be more smart about it. You can't just like be dodging like crazy in some of these. Like the most recent kind of game I played was Black Myth Wukong, and that one, bro, like I was able just to just dodge like crazy. And on this game, you have to be a little bit precise, especially on the parrying. Um, but as soon as I figured it out, as soon as I beat the first boss, and then on the demo, you actually get a like a challenge boss you can play,
Hmm.
optional boss, and so I played that, beat him on the first try. So I got comfortable with the actual the combat system and the abilities and and how to the skill points to get to level up those to be able to get your abilities faster and to be able to make dodging easier, to be able to make parrying easier. It's a lot of fun. I'm surprised of the amount of abilities you get as soon as you load into the game. Most of the time, you start off with nothing, but this game kind of gives you a whole bunch, and can just start picking choosing after that. So that was pretty cool to see. Um, Another thing, the music is awesome,
Yes, it is.
amazing. Uh, Definitely not. It's funny going into games like this for me. I'm definitely not like I never was a huge fan of like kind of like music, like Final Fantasy music or Stellar Blade type of music. I'm a metalhead and
Right.
a rapper and rap music and stuff like that. So it's like actually as I don't know, I guess as I'm getting older, I'm starting to appreciate a lot of different music, and especially from video games since I
Yeah.
love them so much. And playing these games, they might sound a little, if I were to go bump them in my car, it'd be kind of weird, but like they're great, great. Uh, some great music that comes out of these games, bro, and it's just crazy. It's like sometimes I just catch myself just sitting in the like the little rest areas and just jamming out to the music, just looking at my gear and just enjoying the music.
Hmm.
The world is real cool. I am doing a lot of exploring, so and I'm the type of person to go on in these games that to do like a thorough search around every area I'm in, because I just want to look at the world, and so I do take quite a bit to play, kind of games like this. So like I said, I'm still very early. I did I did tackle, a few of the first, I would say two, the first two main bosses. Um, but overall, it's been fun. I played it a little bit today. Um, didn't get much time on it because I had some stuff to do. But um, other than that, I actually picked up. Um, excuse me, sorry. I actually picked up Final Fantasy VI. I've been dying to play an old school retro game like Final Fantasy, like something like Chrono Trigger. Is a
Hmm.
recent game that I saw somebody play on YouTube, and I just been dying to play that type of game. Um, and so I was on the Xbox app, and they have the Final Fantasy pixel remasters on sale, and so I was looking for the next Final Fantasy game to play, that has one of the best stories, and from what I see online, Final Fantasy VI is one of them. So I decided to pick it up, started my playthrough, and the cool thing about this pixel remaster, bro, is like you can for the music, you can
Hmm.
put it, it's called arrangement or classic. Of course, arrangement is like the new version, the modern take on the music,
Yeah.
or you can just leave it as the original classic music. And I left it on the original one because I want to get the full retro feel of the game. And dude, it's awesome. The battle music is amazing. I went into a cave that had the Moogles.
Hmm.
Their and I know their music. I know it from that song. I know it from Final Fantasy VII, and to hear it in the retro style, bro, it's awesome. Uh, but I'm having a good time with that game. The story is building up. At first, I wasn't too sure because you're just reading the whole time, and it's just been a long time since I played a game like that. Um, but I definitely do catch myself reading out loud, and it's just very fun. It's just I don't know. It's been a good time. It's been a long time since I've played a game. I've played a game like this, like an old school game, because the
Yeah.
last game I played like this was probably like on my Game Boy Color back in the day, like a Pokemon game or something like that.
Hmm.
Uh, the only thing that I do have an issue with, and I understand this is just the way the game is I'm trying to explore, but I get into combat, over and over again when I'm just trying to explore, and it does get a little kind of annoying when I just want to explore, but that is I know later on in the game there's something that you can get uh, um, that slows those encounters down, which I can't wait for that. But other than that, it's when I do get in battle, the music kind of just takes me away from that feeling, and it's just fun. It's just a great time. So I'm excited to finish to get back into Stellar Blade and Final Fantasy VI here in the next week. So other than that, man, I know you want to talk about some stuff that you've been doing, some Switch stuff. So let's hear it.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, well, not ask you, but we talked about it a little bit yesterday, the Final Fantasy stuff. Yeah, I totally agree with you. It looks really fun. I don't have the biggest knowledge in Final Fantasy, so um, the only knowledge I do have is Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 16, and I wouldn't say Final Fantasy 14, but I did kind of put my feet in there for maybe the first couple of hours just because it was a MMO RPG. Nothing crazy though, so that's kind of really like the extent of the knowledge that I have with Final Fantasy. When you brought it up that you were playing it yesterday, I you and I both said it to ourselves that we both think that those older ones would be a really good handheld game. So I looked it up. As a matter of fact, I looked it up a little bit last night, and then I looked it up. I think during the day today, and I know exactly what you're talking about when you said the music, that kind of thing, because I saw a trailer for it on the Switch. It plays like a little trailer on it of like what it is, and it showed all that. I didn't know that it went to that extent. I thought it was just a port of those games. I didn't even know that it was considered that it was called the Pixel Remaster, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that it was like considered that or it was called that at all. So I thought it was really cool all the features that it was showing. I did see I don't think this is really much of a spoiler, but I did see that there are some like options that you could preset it to. So for example, how you mentioned the music, the encounters, and I believe also your experience gains. So I don't know if you saw that or not, but uh, apparently that's an option in there. I don't know if it was specifically for the Final Fantasy VI game that you're playing, or maybe for another game. But anyways, yeah, that looks really cool. That sounds. I'm glad that you're having a good time because I've heard nothing but good things from the Final Fantasy series. So hopefully in the future I'll be able to check that out too. And then especially right now because you mentioned that they're all on sale, right?
Yeah, on the Xbox, on Steam, they're not on sale right now, but I know this summer Steam sale's coming soon, so they might go on sale on Steam, but on the Xbox
Right.
app they are.
Yeah, they weren't on sale on the Nintendo Switch, so maybe when they go on sale, who knows? Maybe I'll pick it up just to kind of have it in my backlog, so I know I'll have something to play. That's cool, man. Glad that you're having a good time, especially with Stellar Blade. I have yet to pick that game up. I have been wanting to get it. As a matter of fact, I actually uploaded a YouTube video. What 2 3 years ago maybe when they showed off that game and when they were coming out with it, I literally even said in that YouTube video, yeah, that's a day one purchase, and here I am not owning it. So I would like to get around to that. Looks really cool. I know what you mean by the gameplay of it, or at least like the how precise you have to be. Because I played the demo. Don't get me wrong, and I thought it was a really fantastic demo. The only thing that I will agree with you with is that I kind of know what you're talking about with the being precise and the gameplay part of it because it does feel, I guess you could say, clunky if that's kind of what you were going for.
Yeah, it you just have to get used to it. It doesn't feel like
It,
any, because it's
it
like a
it's not.
Souls type of like game, but it's
Yeah,
different.
it's not like as smooth as you would like it to be. It does have like a certain weight to it, um, which is crazy because yeah, you get used to it, and I got used to it too. But it was crazy to me and funny that you brought up Black Myth Wukong because, dude. I told you too that I could not get used to that game. Like every time I would dodge, every time I would try to parry, dude, it just did not work for me in Black Myth Wukong. So I thought it was funny that you said that Black Myth is a bit easier compared to Stellar Blade. I thought the opposite.
Yeah, yeah, I know. That's because I remember you having trouble with Black Myth, but I put what 50 hours in Black Myth, and
Yeah. So you mastered it. I mean, I only put maybe a couple of hours into it.
yeah, and then this game was like it was just a bit like sometimes I find myself getting stuck in an animation and you can't dodge or parry, and it is just weird because I guess you have to. It's like there's a big emphasis on combos, so you have
Hmm.
to know, how to hit the combos and when to hit them, and be very like, um, specific on what you do. If not, you're just gonna get your ass kicked.
So that's cool, man. Glad that you're having a good time. I'm really glad that you are getting back into gaming as a whole. Because you mentioned earlier that you are doing that again, and I mean, kind of same for me. If it weren't for if it weren't for you, I really would probably only be playing like multiplayer games that I can hop on with like friends, for a couple of hours and hop off. So I'm glad that we're kind of going through this gaming thing again. But enough about that. Yeah, what I have been playing is I've been playing, of course, with you a little bit more of Splitgate 2, which we actually got done playing a bit ago today. I personally have been having a lot of fun with it. It's a lot like Splitgate 1, but just better. Um, I think the movement is much better on here, and I even brought it up to you too. I don't remember if with Splitgate 1, we had that like jetpack movement. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember it, but they have it on here on Splitgate 2. So that's been a lot of fun. And of course, you have the portals, all that kind of stuff. So it feels the best way I can compare it to, if anybody's interested, it is Black Ops 3 combined with Black Ops 3 movement combined with Halo and Portal. So I mean, best of all three worlds right there. They added a battle royale, like we mentioned. I think we mentioned it in our last episode. They added it. They announced it for Summer Game Fest. It's already on there. That's been a lot of fun. Besides Splitgate 2, the next thing that I have been playing, which I'll kind of lean into the next topic as well, I have been playing Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. I did play it originally for the Switch One, but I I don't think that Mario Kart World really sufficed me um, enough for the Switch 2. So I went ahead and ended up getting Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition, which did improve the frame rate, did improve the lighting, did improve the graphics. At least I noticed that kind of difference. And it's been a lot of fun, man. I forget how fun Legend of Zelda is. It is a slow start, I will say that. And I know you can attest to that too because you played it a little bit, right?
Yeah, I played a lot of Tears of the Kingdom, man.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little bit. So my knowledge with Legend of Zelda is not very extent whatsoever. As a matter of fact, my first Legend of Zelda game that I played and beat was Breath of the Wild, which is the the first one for Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom being the second one, and I thought that that game was a lot of fun. And if you guys have played Breath of the Wild and are interested in Tears of the Kingdom, you're going to be very happy to know that it is exactly like Breath of the Wild, just better with different abilities. I think it's a bigger world, honestly, because you have your regular ground area and then you also have the sky levels, which I have yet to figure out how to kind of get to there other than like having like fly up there somehow, some way. So I'm really looking forward to kind of continuing and exploring more of it. Like I said, yeah, that's what I've been playing. I have put a good amount of hours. The times that me and you haven't been playing together or anything like that, that's what I've been doing. Um, so, like I said, Mario Kart wasn't enough for me. I wanted to get Tears of the Kingdom. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because there's still some more things that I wanted to bring up with the Switch 2, just because the last episode when I talked about it, I kind of just brought up my first impressions. Now that it's already been out for what, a week and a half now. There are some other things that I wanted to bring up. One of those things being the Nintendo Switch Online GameCube application. So what that is if you have the yearly what is it called? I guess online thing, kind of like how PlayStation Network is, where you get the month to month or 3 months, yearly, whatever. They have the same thing for the Switch, and it's been like this since the Switch One. But with the Switch 2, they went ahead and brought over the GameCube part of it, which is really cool because it has, as of right now, 3 games in there. Those 3 games being uh, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, Soul Calibur 2, and F Zero. And the only 2 games that I have been playing on there or have played is Soul Calibur 2 and The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Wind Waker, I probably only put about 30 minutes, hour at most. I was mostly curious about that one just to see how it runs, how it looks, and it looks like it's a lot of fun. And I've heard good things about that game too. So maybe if and when I finish Tears of the Kingdom, that'll probably be my next Zelda game. Now, Soul Calibur 2, that one I have been playing a little bit more just because that's a classic game to me. Me and my dad used to always play that game. It's a fighting game. It can't really say much more about it other than on the Switch 2, it looks and runs really well. I was actually telling my dad the other day that this is the best I've seen Soul Calibur 2 look compared to the Xbox version, the PS2 version, even the 360 and maybe the PS3 ports. But Switch 2 version looks amazing and it runs well. And then I can't really say much about F Zero because I haven't even tried that at all. But that's another feature for the Switch 2. And another big one that I think I kind of briefly touched on was the battery life. And I bring this up because I have seen some, I guess, complaints you could say, or some concerns that some people have had with their Switch 2, that being the battery life. And I know I brought it up in the last episode where I said that I played a little bit of Fortnite maybe about 30 minutes. I was at about 80 something percent, 80, 85%. I played 30 minutes of it, checked the battery life, and it was at about 55, 50% at lowest. So I understand that, yeah, that's probably a pretty demanding game. On top of that, too, it also just depends on, the brightness of your screen. I didn't have it that bright. I probably had it like a little bit less than half of the setting that you can put it at. So that's kind of been my main gripe. This is on handheld mode, by the way. So that's been my main gripe. There is an option for it to stop charging after 80%. It even tells you at the very bottom in small lettering, this is so that you can get more power out of it, and yeah, it doesn't deteriorate the battery. Something along those lines. So I did choose that option. But for, I guess, research purposes, I went ahead and turned it off and let it charge to the full 100%. And it did help out like a little bit, but that's not really by much. So yeah, I think overall the battery life will probably last you about hour and a half, 2 hours, very max if you're playing on handheld mode. And I don't even want to try with the brightness all the way up. So that's been my main gripe. The other thing is the Switch dock, where you put the console itself to be able to connect to the TV. I think it could be better. It does look better compared to the Switch One, but it is still a little flimsy. And I totally get it. Nintendo is not really fancy when it comes to their hardware or any extra accessories that come with the console, but it does look a little bit better. It is shaped a little bit better. I know that on the inside, it's not a, a plastic type of feel. That way, it doesn't scratch the screen or anything like that. So it is a little bit more smoother on the inside. The next thing I want to talk about too was the controller, or I guess you could say the Joy Cons for it. They are magnetic, and I have tested it to try to yank them out, and they just do not come off. I find myself messing with them, like detaching them, attaching them over and over. It's such a good feeling for it. But besides that, you can actually, and it comes with the Switch too. You can put them like in a control, like a little, I don't even know what it's called. Just kind of somewhere where you can dock the controllers themselves to hold it like a controller. And honestly, it is a step up from the Switch One, because the Switch One, I don't know, Deathface, I don't know if you still have yours, or if you've messed with it recently, but those Joy Cons are really tiny compared to the Switch Two. So
Yeah, yeah, they're. I was always wondering how I was gonna play, because it just felt so small.
yeah,
But I am glad you said that
they
they're
are
bigger, of
bigger.
course, and they feel
Yeah,
a lot better in the hand.
yes, they are bigger. They feel a lot better in the hand, and like I said, especially with that little controller adapter thing, I guess you could say, to put the Joy Cons on, it does feel like a normal controller. Still a little bit small, but there are other options. And I am really looking forward to getting the Pro controller at sometime, hopefully, because it looks really nice and clean. I've heard and seen videos of how it looks. I've heard that the feel for it is really good. I heard that it actually also has like a pretty good weight to it. So I am looking forward to it. All in all, though, I am having a very good time with my Switch 2. I am looking forward to the future for it. And I'm mostly really looking forward to, now that Deathface brought it up, is the Final Fantasy games, because we do have Final Fantasy VII Remake coming onto the Switch too sometime. I hope this year or maybe next year. Whatever the case is, I am looking forward to being able to play it on handheld. So that's really all I have for the Switch 2. We're going to go ahead and get into some gaming news right now, or gaming related news, as some of the you'll see as some of these that we talk about. So the first thing is that the Legend of Zelda live action has been delayed by a couple of weeks, which is funny because before we hopped on, I was talking to Deathface about it. I honestly thought that this movie was coming out in 2026, but it releases in 2027, and it was already slated to release in 2027. So I thought it was 2026, but apparently it was already 2027. I believe the original date was in March, and now it is in May. I'm curious to see how that movie will be panned out, because of course a Nintendo property, and it's live action, which is really weird because from my understanding, Link doesn't really ever say a word in any of these games. and I'm curious to see who they're gonna choose for him, and I'm curious to see what the story is even going to be about. Um, let's see. Another thing too with the Legend of Zelda is that I want to see what story they go off of. I hope that it would probably be Breath of the Wild, just so that I'm familiar with it. But that's kind of really all I can say about the Legend of Zelda being delayed.
Yeah, man. Overall, I'm just very, excited to see what they do, and just curious because, especially with all the, the debate going on with this live, especially it being live action.
Yeah.
Who's gonna play Zelda? We've seen, everybody's opinions on the that main person that's supposed to play
Hmm.
Zelda, or who they want to play Zelda, and people having issues, people not having issues, and I'm just curious on how it's all going to turn out because it's just interesting, especially also too that it's going to be live action because
Yeah.
I've seen like what the CGI version, fan made CGI versions, and those look amazing, and I'm like, why? I'm, I guess I could say I'm a little disappointed that it's gonna be live action because we could have easily gotten a great,
Yeah.
good looking like
Absolutely.
CGI movie, like the Mario movie. How
Hmm.
great that looked! But and like you mentioned, Link never talks in the games. I'm pretty sure somebody out there is gonna argue that he did say something in one game. I don't know in one part, but
You're right.
I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure he doesn't, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. We'll just see how what happens, man. 2027. We still got a ways to go. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure we'll get a trailer next year or something. So
I the one thing I did want to bring up too is that I don't know if this is still a thing or not, but I know that apparently Sony is backing this movie up. So we'll see how that goes. It's a little weird, Sony and Nintendo working together. I don't know. That's just me. Um, Next thing is Mindseye. This was a game that was made by, I think, what, the ex president or ex manager at Rockstar. Is that correct?
I from what I read, it just said former developer of GTA.
Oh, okay,
I'm
gotcha.
not too sure exactly.
Somebody that worked with GTA and Rockstar. This is their game. I remember this game being shown off. Wasn't that shown off for the first time a couple of months ago? Or
I recently saw it, um,
yeah, it
shown
it was
off.
yeah, it was shown off in the state of play, I believe. Um, Anyways, Mind's Eye, it already came out. I believe it was June 10th, and a lot of people were very skeptical of this game because, like I mentioned, it was. I feel like it was recently showed off, and they were marketing this game like it's gonna be like a GT. Well, not like it's gonna be a GTA clone, but they knew that that's what people were expecting. And so it came out. No one really said anything positive about it from what I've seen. I have seen some clips of it just performing really bad on not only on high end PCs, but just on the PS5 Pro in general, too. And that's pretty disappointing because, PS5 Pro, that thing's not cheap. That thing is $700. And there's this YouTuber that I watched that was talking about it. And he's basically saying the same things that everybody else is saying, like frame rate issues, pop-ins, the NPCs not acting correctly, which I feel like that's just gonna. I feel like that's the thing that's going on these days with a lot of like these open world GTA like games where the NPCs just don't act how they're supposed to. A good example for that is Cyberpunk. I remember when that game first came out and a lot of people were showing off the NPCs. They just weren't acting like how they should when something is going on. You recently brought up that the Metacritic score for it is 43, which is the lowest score for a game this year.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I've seen a lot of videos, a lot of people streaming it, a lot of people um, giving their honest thoughts on it, and they're telling you to save your money, don't buy it. Um, the only good thing that I hear people talking about from this game is the driving. Um, Other
Mm.
than that, from I mean, any gamer can sit down and watch a gameplay video, and you can just automatically tell that it just wasn't ready. The way they kind of went about it, where I always saw this game. like when I did start seeing it around, as that it was just being way too rushed. It didn't look finished, it like I could just see it. Um I just feel like I was telling Damien Chilling here before we got on, like, who gave him I don't mean to bash anybody, or to be mean or anything like that, but like who let this guy put out a game like this, like, so quickly, especially somebody from uh, a
from
former a former developer
Rockstar,
of, yeah,
GTA.
that's that's very it's very sad. It's like, you move on from, a developer, a company you've been with for a while, and you want to make your own game in your eyes, and do what you want to do, have the freedom,
Hmm.
to be creative on your own level. And then a game like this comes out and it has a meta Metacritic score of 43. Like, man.
That's yeah, that sucks. I'm sure the developers, they meant good, but I think it just needed some more time in the kitchen. I don't know. Like I said, the gameplay that I've seen, the graphics do look good from a I don't know, from I guess a high end PC, or maybe somebody who got lucky on PlayStation and was able to run it perfectly well. So I'll give it that. It does look good. I haven't seen much of the driving like how you mentioned, but yeah, I've just been hearing nothing but unfortunate things about it. So I don't know what it was priced at. It might have been 50, $60, highest 70. I'm not too sure, but if somebody out there got it, let me know how it actually runs for you. Because I've seen a lot of people saying that they can see this game within the next 6 months probably being for free on PS Plus for the month or something like that. Um,
Well, they're already issuing, PlayStation, they're already issuing refunds.
oh wow,
Yeah.
yeesh. Well, let's hope that there's a patch sometime soon that fixes it for those who bought it. The next thing is the Gears of War beta did come out. I know you can kind of maybe tell me a little bit more about this one, Deathface, because it's out, I believe, for PlayStation, but also Xbox and PC. And from clips that I've been seeing, it looks like Gears of War. I mean, of course, it's Gears of War, but the multiplayer, at least, it looks like how it already looked before. I didn't watch too much of it, so I didn't really see performance or anything like that. But yeah, if you can kind of go a little bit more in depth with that.
Yeah, so I did load it up. But here, the first thing is that it was difficult for me to find it, on PC. It's available on Game Pass. If you have PC Game Pass, it's available. If you have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, if you're on Xbox and you have the Ultimate Game Pass, it's available. So if you just have regular Game Pass on Xbox, I don't think you're able to play it. So it's a little confusing. And then, on other platforms, you have to pre-order the game to be able to have access to it,
Hmm.
as well. So, anyways, so I went on Game Pass because I have, PC Game Pass. It wasn't anywhere to be found. So I went on Reddit or whatever and was trying to figure out how to download it. And somebody said that to look on the actual Microsoft Store that's, on the PC. So I went on there, I typed in Gears of War, Reloaded beta, and sure enough, there it was. Downloaded it, booted it up, and then took me about, of course, it's a beta, so it took me about 20 minutes to find a match.
Oh wow.
I was At first I was sitting here for maybe like 10 minutes, and then I was like, okay, then, I understand it's gonna take a while, but I was like, okay, let me just try it again. So I tried it again, took another, like 10 10 minutes, or like 5 to 10 minutes, and then finally it loading into the game. And finally, when I got in the match, I went in, and sure enough, it's Gears of War. Um, it's the same mechanics Gears of War has had for, forever, ever since I can remember. I mean, I played up until Gears of War 3, so,
Hmm.
um, yeah, I just played one match. I wanted to play more, but I was really excited to get into Final Fantasy 6, and, my time with Stellar Blade, so I just played one match. Um, it's fun. I could see the potential in it. Of course, I've played Gears of War 3 multiplayer back in the day when that was out.
Yeah.
I don't think I played any of the other multiplayers, and, I had a good time on Gears of War 3 multiplayer, and, I feel like this game will be kind of on that same level. But like I said, the beta was only up until today, so
Oh,
the
okay.
yeah, the beta is just this. It was this weekend, and then next weekend is going to be they're going to open it back up again. So we'll have next weekend to have another chance to play it. So
Oh, okay,
hopefully,
okay.
hopefully you can download it and then we can spend some time and to just try it out, play a couple matches and see how we're feeling about it. But
Yeah, the funny thing about the beta is that I was scrolling on TikTok probably today or yesterday, and I just saw a bunch of people saying, showing these PS players how Gears of War should be played, and I saw other people's point of views, the I guess the PlayStation players, and they were playing this like a regular run and gun type of multiplayer game, which, if you know, Gears of War is not like that at all. It's kind of
no,
more of a duck cover kind of mechanic that really helps you and gives you an advantage. So I just thought it was funny seeing that for the beta.
yeah, it's definitely something that you need to get used to. It's kind of it kind of reminds me of the Last of Us factions
Hmm.
multiplayer back in 2013. Um, it's fun. It's just something that you have to get very used to. You know how the actual, especially third person, and then the ducking, the running is complete. It's not free running. You're set in a specific direction where you're running. So it's just something you have to get used to. If you're not, if you haven't been keeping up with the Gears of War franchise, but it's I don't know if next weekend's beta is the same thing where you have to have it pre-ordered or it's on Game Pass. I'm
Right.
not too sure, but look into it if you're looking in, looking forward to the new Gears of War game.
So next we have Capcom announced that Devil May Cry 5 has sold 10 million copies. They did say that a lot of those, well, not a lot, but those sales or recent sales are a huge thanks to the Netflix anime that they had a helping hand. And at first, when I saw it, I thought it was a random announcement to make. Why, why what? I think 7 years later, why randomly announce that it sold 10 million? But then I saw the next part that said that they would thank Netflix for that, for having a helping hand. And I was hopeful that that meant, oh, what the hell? This is so random. I hopefully that means something more for DMC in the future, or maybe a whole reboot. Which I think that, not that a whole reboot would help it, but I do think that a remake for sure of the first two at least, and of course the third one. I think they could really use it. One, for the graphical update, and then two, maybe in the future, uh, tell a different kind of story. Devil May Cry story is already a little confusing as it is, but that's cool that it sold 10 million. I think it is rightfully deserved.
Yeah, dude, that was cool. I had saw this too when I was when I was on some gaming news website, and I was kind of like you, surprised, like, oh wow, they're actually talking, because this anime kind of came out of nowhere,
Yeah,
to begin with, because we haven't had a Devil May Cry in a while. So when this came out, me and you were excited to watch it. We watched it. We finished. You finished it, right?
I did finish it. Yes.
Okay, yeah. We finished it, and we had a good time with it. And then I recently played Devil May Cry 1, the first one on. I bought the special edition one on Steam where it comes with 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And 4, I think, right? Yeah. And I that game was fun. I enjoyed it. Of course, it's a very outdated game, but I feel like the way they did Silent Hill, how we didn't get anything Silent Hill for the longest time, and then they came out with the remake. Um, and then it's just now they're doing Silent Hill 1 remake. It just came back. That was their moneymaker, and then for Devil May Cry, if they do a remake, that's going to give them if they do it right, that'll give them the momentum to bring back the Devil May Cry franchise and give us Devil May Cry 6, which I know a lot of people are begging for.
Yeah,
uh,
a lot of people are begging for either a six or just a remake of the first, or the trilogy, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I'd be so stoked if they were to do something like that. Anything Devil May Cry, man, I'll be happy to play.
Yeah, like I said, I think a remake would really do it some justice. Like I said, like how you mentioned too, it is a little outdated. It could definitely use a graphical improvement. On top of that, they have another chance to make Devil May Cry 2 a lot better than what it was, because that one is the most hated one of them all, just because it kind of really went out there, but it just didn't really fit in with, I guess, the narrative and the gameplay style of it. I personally have not played much of it. I only played maybe about the first hour of it. I mostly played Devil May Cry 1, Devil May Cry 3. I played a lot of Devil May Cry 4 and a lot of Devil May Cry 5. So that one, Devil May Cry 2, is probably the black sheep for sure of the whole franchise. So I think a remake would really do it some justice. And if they do go with the reboot of the franchise, that would probably be really cool too. But I completely forgot about this while I'm reading this. We already had a Devil May Cry reboot. I'm not sure if you remember this, Deathface, but we had one in 2013, which um I personally did enjoy it for what it was. I understood that it was completely separate from the mainline series, that it was just trying to be its own thing. A lot of people did not like it, and I understand. I do see the hate for it, but overall, the gameplay part of it was fun. On top of that, too, I think the soundtrack in that game is a hidden gem. That soundtrack is really awesome. I do find myself listening to it here and there for sure. So if you guys are interested, definitely check it out. I mean, if you can understand that it is completely separated from the main line story or characters, whatever you want to call it, definitely a good time. Um, so the next thing for Sony is that apparently the PS6 is their top priority now, which a lot of people are upset because they are thinking that the PS5 was kind of just a, I guess, like a test project, just to kind of throw something out there for the consumer, which I don't see it that way. I mean, we are already 5 years into the PS5. Granted, I can understand people not thinking that the PS5 was a great system, but I personally think that it was. It updated a lot of things that the PS4 couldn't handle. We did have some great franchises come out in that system. So I'm looking forward to the PS6. Let me know your thoughts.
Yeah, PS6, man. We're all we're all hyped up for the next generation of gaming. It seems like the PS5 just came out, not too long ago, and then we're already talking about PS6.
Yeah.
Um, but like you were saying, PS5 was really able to get the most out of a lot of these games, right? A lot of these games look amazing. Um, even running on a PlayStation, I always thought, of course, the PC you can go crazy and max out the settings with the real expensive high end PC. But man, PlayStation is still able to do their thing, with these games, especially the exclusives. How great they look on their system, um, and how I know a lot of it is dynamic. What is it? Dynamic 4K,
Hmm.
but it still looks great. Other than that, I'm excited for what's to come for PlayStation. I wanted to get the Pro. I was waiting for the Pro, the
Hmm.
PS5 Pro, but when I heard the price, I was like, all right, no, I'm good with mine, regular
Yeah.
PS5. So
Yeah. I think a lot of people just expected more out of the Pro, and rightfully so. Um, I get it. It's very expensive. So I feel like the PS5 Pro is kind of um hidden in there. I don't think there's really much of a good reason as of right now to get it. I still feel like PlayStation could release some more good, or not good, but some more exclusives, because I mean, I was talking to my dad about this, that the PS4 had introduced a good amount of franchises, while the PS5, I think, is lacking on that. If not, they're just continuing on what was already built. So I would like to still see a little bit more from the PS5. So I understand where people are coming from. The next last piece is that Sony sees Nintendo as a competition now, and from the little bit that I did read, it's mostly just the whole third party support for it, just because a lot of people would like to play third party games in handheld. And I can see that. I'm one of those people. I would love to be able to play. I mean, for example, we got Final Fantasy VII Remake coming to Nintendo Switch. I did play it on the PS5, but I would love, I'm excited to play it on the handheld. So as of right now, I think that's kind of what they meant by the competition form of it. Just mostly the third parties being available on the Switch because of how powerful it is compared to the Switch One.
Yeah, man. That's one thing I did want to say is like I don't have a Switch 2, but I do want to get one because Final Fantasy is coming. And I just one of the some of the greatest games I've ever played, Final Fantasy 7 Remake and Rebirth. And I mean, if Remake's gonna be on there, I mean, when's Rebirth gonna come out? And that'll
Yeah.
be so much fun to play handheld. Just be chilling. Some, when you're out and about, you can just boot up some Final Fantasy.
Hmm.
I think that's great, and I understand that they see it as like a competition because you know the numbers, man. I mean, a lot of people are saying are talking real bad about the Switch 2, but the numbers. What was it? 3.3 million, the fastest selling console,
Yeah. Yep.
and they beat every console. At 3.3 million, and that's just insane to me. I'm like, okay, everybody's hating on it, but look at the numbers. The numbers
Yep.
don't lie.
Yeah, I think it was 3.3 million the first 4 days, something like that.
Yeah.
So
And people like to argue, well, they're at stores. Well, it's like, well, they were prepared.
yeah, and it's funny that you bring that up about well, they're at stores. It's like that's they see it as a negative thing, and I know it's not really the same topic, but that's a good thing.
Hmm.
You want that for gaming. I mean, shit. You remember with the PS5 and the Xbox when they first came out, dude? You could not find that in store. It wasn't until maybe a year later that they were finally showing up in store, and even then, it was limited quantity. You had to either go through a third party market to be able to get one, and even then, it was going for what, like 700, $800, something like that. So yeah, I mean, I see it. I see Sony's eyes, seeing the Switch as a competitor, and I especially agree with the fact that because of the third party support. Because yeah, like I said, a lot of people do want to play these games on handheld. I mean, look at Elden Ring for example. I completely forgot that that's coming out for the Switch too. I mean,
Yeah.
I can only imagine how fun that's going to be. And then of course we have the Dusk Bloods, but I mean that's a Switch exclusive, so we'll see. We'll see the future. I mean, hopefully Sony, brings out some bangers, and that's kind of really all I want uh, to happen out of all this. Onto the main topics that we have for this episode. We have a little bit of news with Resident Evil 9. I'm not too sure if you saw much of it, Deathface, but the big thing was the first person thing. We didn't know if it was going to be first person or third person. We now have confirmation that it is both first person and third person. You can choose if you want to play it in first person or you want to play it in third person. You can switch between the two through the pause menu. I saw a content creator. This is somebody that I've been following for the last decade. His name is Maximilian Dude, and he is a huge Capcom fan. He covers a lot of Capcom stuff. He's mostly a fighting game enthusiast, but he's really connected with Capcom. And from what he talked about, he was able to see a little bit of it after Summer Game Fest. I think he said he saw about 45 minutes of gameplay. He saw it, and then he himself said, after seeing those 45 minutes, I wasn't really convinced on what they're trying to do, blah blah blah. But then he actually, I guess, a Capcom representative, handed him the controller and let him control it, that kind of stuff. After he was able to play it himself, he is very excited for it. I'm very excited for it. From the impression that he gave off, is that it reminded him, at least of one section that he played, it reminded him a lot of Alien Isolation, where you do have one creature following you. And he also did mention a new thing, which I don't think any Resident Evil has done this, where you can, pick up like rocks, beer bottles, that kind of stuff, I guess, as a distraction. So I'm interested to see how the rest of that will play out into the game. Of course, I'm interested to see what other characters you can play as, but I think that it's really cool that you can switch between first person and third person in the fly.
Yeah, to me, when I saw that was crazy because when I think when Resident Evil 7 came out, they they went to first person
Hmm.
when their whole deal was third person from
Yeah.
the from the beginning. And when they did that, a lot of people were half and half on it, because it was just straying away from that original Resident Evil feel. And
Yeah.
and a Village came out, and a lot of people praise that game a lot as well. But with nine, I think it's so cool that they're gonna satisfy both.
Yeah.
They're gonna have the third person for those OG, fans that want that OG Resident Evil experience, and then they're gonna have the first person, which in my opinion, first person is always scarier, um, because it's just right in your face, and then you can't even you can't see behind you, so it's like what's behind you, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Um, so I'm excited for that game, man, and for him to be kind of skeptical on it and then being handed the controller to actually feel the game and then
Yeah.
being completely sold on it, that is a major plus. Because I mean, this goes for a lot of us gamers, man. We see gameplay of a game, we're always going to be skeptical until
Hmm.
we have that controller in hand actually playing the game. Then we can really know if we're going to be into it or if we're not.
Yeah.
And for him saying that, especially you said he's mainly Capcom fighting games.
Hmm.
He mainly does that. For him to say that about a Resident Evil game, that's very good news. That's a big positive for me.
Hmm.
And it's coming out way sooner than maybe any of us expected.
Yeah.
Next year, February.
Yep.
Um, I cannot wait. I haven't played a Resident Evil game. And I didn't play remake. Resident Evil 4 remake. I played a little bit of three, a little bit of two. I did play the OG remake. I mean OG Resident Evil 4. So
Hmm.
I did beat that one. But I'm excited to get into this new one, man, because I'm itching for some more horror.
I did want to go in to talk about what we were looking forward to the game. Um, but I feel like we could probably talk about that forever. But one thing that I did want to bring up was that I one thing that I'm looking forward to is we get what everybody's been asking for, which is the return of like classic characters, because we have played as the classic characters with these remakes and that kind of thing. But I want to see what they've been up to since those games. So I hope that it just all comes to a full circle and closes out this entire, I guess you could say, saga of these games, and we can move on to something new and fresh. I know that they tried to do that with Resident Evil 7 and 8, which I think those were great games, but it is kind of a letdown that they, I guess, abandoned those stories and games now, because now we're returning to Raccoon City where it all started. Who knows? Maybe there might be some references with 7 and 8, because I know that obviously 7 and 8, those are going to be before Resident Evil 9. So I'm sure that there's going to be some mention of it. But again, yeah, I just hope it comes to a full circle and closes out that whole thing.
Yeah, for me, I definitely want to go and play, because I watched my cousin play Resident Evil 7. Yeah, we were living together at the time, and he wanted to buy a game on my PlayStation, and so he bought that one. And I just watched him. He played through it all, and dude, it was great. It was a different Resident Evil experience. Didn't play Village, but I do want to go back and play those games, just to play them, just to see what I missed out on.
Hmm.
Um, but I understand what you're saying about that they're abandoning those kind of, and then they're going back to Raccoon City.
Yeah.
So I am curious to see what's the future. What's the future looking like? What are they going to do next? And that's always interesting to wonder.
Yeah. These next three things happened. I don't know what day exactly it was, but I know it was a couple of days ago, which was the Konami presentation. I don't know exactly what it was called, but it was all about Konami. These are the three things that I pointed out, because they did show off other things. They showed off some other RPG games. They showed off some Yu-Gi-Oh, that kind of stuff. But the main three that I did want to talk about was they kind of talked a little bit more, of course, about Metal Gear, which does come out in August, and they showed off Metal Gear Fox Hunt, which is their online mode. And to my understanding, Metal Gear 3 did have an online mode, or I think that's where the online started. Curious to see how it's gonna go. They did show off a little bit of it as far as like the gameplay for it. I know the big thing for them was that camouflage stuff where you can lean against the wall, you'll camouflage with the wall, you can go on the floor or the grassy area, you'll camouflage with that grass. Like you'll literally turn into whatever it is you're like leaning on or whatever to kind of perfectly camouflage, which of course you do kind of still stick out a little bit because I mean, of course, then that would be pretty much cheating at that point. But looking forward to seeing more of it. I never played online for Metal Gear, especially Metal Gear Solid 3. I know that they did have it in Metal Gear Solid 4, but even then, I didn't really touch much of Metal Gear Solid 4. I maybe played a little bit, like an hour or two, just because I know that it was a long game. Metal Gear Solid 3, I did have a little bit more of attachment to. I remember me and my dad going through it, but never touched the online. And then, of course, they have the that classic game mode from Metal Gear Solid 3, which was the ape escape, those little apes that you can capture. I remember that always being a bitch, so I'm glad that they're bringing that back. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, that Fox Hunt multiplayer, it looks interesting. It looks really cool, that camouflage ability that you can do. They kind of emphasized it, that's mainly what they were showing in that little teaser. When they
Mm-hmm.
really started talking about it, they were really emphasizing that camo. So I'm kind of interested how that's going to work online, because as you know, there's been other games, I want to say, like kind of like Prop Hunt, where you're kind of being disguised in an area of the map, and then it goes on for a good maybe a couple weeks, and then everybody just knows
Yeah.
where you're at. The stuff that's out of place. So I'm curious to see how that's going to be implemented into multiplayer, or if this is just maybe just a feature. I know they barely showed us anything, but I do hope it is just a full-on multiplayer. I think they did show a little bit of the actual multiplayer.
Yeah.
They teased a tiny bit, I noticed. So it looks fun, it looks awesome. I am excited for this. I did tell my dad about it because I remember he did have I think it was Metal Gear. I think it was Snake Eater he had,
Hmm.
and I did tell him about it, and he was kind of surprised. Like, really? I was like, yeah. You remember you had one, right? He was like, yeah, yeah. I remember playing it. So we'll see when that comes out, if he plays it, because that's something that we played back in the day. So
Yeah, regardless of if the online is fun or not, I am still looking forward to the game in general because it is a great game, long game, but a great game. The next thing that they showed off was Silent Hill F. Of course, they have been showing it off a little bit more because, of course, it does come out this year in September. But they also kind of showed us a little bit behind the scenes of the route that they took. And I know they already showed it off when they first talked about it. They had like a whole direct regarding Silent Hill F, but it's just really cool seeing the behind the scenes of their inspiration, the main character, the world itself. So I'm really looking forward to Silent Hill F. It does look it just looks like a true to form of what Silent Hill is and was, but now it's just taking place in Japan or in a Japanese setting. One thing that I wasn't concerned, but I was wondering is the game gonna, and this is gonna sound stupid, but is the game gonna be in Japanese as far as like language, or is it gonna be in English, or is there gonna be an option for it? Either way, I'm really excited for it. I'm just really excited for the new setting that it takes place in.
yeah, bro, that where they went behind the scenes and they talked about it more. They showed us some of the uh,
They showed us some
enemies.
of the motion capture as well. That's what I forgot to mention.
Yeah, they showed us some of the enemies, and I saw one enemy. Uh, well, because their main thing is find the beauty in terror, and I think that's really cool. Because you know all of these horror games, like even though it looks disturbing, even though it looks crazy, there's some type of beauty in it to be able to bring that world, onto a game, into reality. Because these Silent Hill games, bro, these are nightmares, that you
Yeah.
see, and then for you to be playing a game and to see this in real life, I thought that was really cool that they went in depth with it. The art, the for some of these enemies look insane. Um, they are still going with the traditional combat, which is just makes you feel even more vulnerable.
Hmm.
And I know a lot of people complain about it in Silent Hill 2 remake, but man, I don't know what the hell they were complaining about because I had so much fun in that game. Um, how vulnerable you felt, even 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 the main character being a man, and he still looked like he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know how to you know work a gun or whatever it may be. I always still felt vulnerable even with the shotgun. It was just uh, so scary at times. And in this game, man, it just looks even crazier with the type of enemies. It looks like we're gonna have a variety of enemies,
Yeah.
rather than just the select few we had in Resident. Silent Hill 2 remake. So I'm very excited for this game, bro. It's crazy that it's coming out already this year. We just got remake last year, and then we're getting
Yeah.
F this year.
Yeah.
Uh,
They made it
can't wait.
seem, yeah, they made it seem the last time they showed it off that we weren't gonna get it anytime soon. So I'm just really glad that it is coming out this year. One thing I did, and I don't know if they mentioned this on there when they showed this off, but I wonder what other kind of weapons we're gonna get. I know we saw the lead pipe, um, but I'm wondering, are we gonna get guns too, or maybe some other type of melee weapon? We'll see. Overall, just very excited for it. Just the more they show for it, the more excited I am for it. The next thing, which was I thought the biggest thing out of the whole thing was they and it's this was expected, but they finally confirmed that Silent Hill is in development, which is being made again by Bloober Team, who made the Silent Hill 2 remake. And I am just ecstatic about this because I've said for the longest time, ever since Silent Hill 2 remake got announced, that while not that I was upset, but I really was hoping that Silent Hill 1 would get the remake treatment just because I personally think it could use it. I think that it was a little outdated compared to today's standards. But I mean, I understood Silent Hill 2 is a separate game from that universe. But we have official confirmation that it is coming. It's in development by Bloober Team. So I'm very excited that Bloober Team is making it because they knocked it out the park with Silent Hill 2 remake. I'm excited with the fact that not only Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill 1 is coming back as a remake, but then this just opens up Silent Hill 3, and who knows, maybe Silent Hill 4, and who knows, maybe they just continue on with Silent Hill F and make it a completely new chapter of Silent Hill.
Yeah, dude. Silent Hill 1 remake. I'm honestly glad that they did Silent Hill 2 first. That way, now that they're working on Silent Hill 1, and of course, I mean, they just have to do Silent Hill 3 because those two are the ones that connect.
Hmm.
Um, this gives them more time to really, really polish that storyline that, OG Silent Hill fans really love, the actual lore behind the Silent Hill and why it's the way it is. Because, Silent Hill 2 it's still in the same world, but it's more psychological. There's no indication on why all that's going on is just kind of like in his head. Um, he's fighting his demons, and then even in Silent Hill F, um, they said that this was more psychological, than a real kind of like explanation as to why it's going on. It's
Yeah.
more of just a psychological setting, kind of how like Silent Hill 2 remake was. So I think that's cool. And like how you said, we wonder what they're gonna do with Silent Hill F. If they're starting with the psychological aspect of it, I think it'd be really cool for if they do in the future, continue that on, and they make the next game explaining why it happens,
Right.
why the world is the way it is in this Silent Hill setting. There's just so much they can do, man, and now that they've kind of perfected it,
Yeah.
from making mistakes after mistake, with the first time around. I know a lot of people didn't like a lot of the other Silent Hill spin-off type of games that they came out with. um, and now that they got that formula going, man, it's so much potential to just keep it going, because this is a gold mine for them, bro.
Yeah.
Like, everybody after playing Silent Hill 2 remake, you know we want more, I want more, and everybody loved that game. And I was a little sad that it. I can't remember if it won um, an award last year. I think it won one.
I don't think it did. If it did win anything, it might have been no. I was gonna say it might have won the sound design, but no, it did not. I remember being pissed about that. I was like, dude, how the hell did Silent Hill 2 not win this? Um,
Yeah,
the only other thing that maybe I can think of that it might have won would probably be voice actor, but even then, I don't even think it got that.
yeah, I was very but at the same time it was very difficult because there was a lot of great games that I didn't even play that did end up winning a lot of those awards. But overall, man, I'm excited to get back into the original Silent Hill games.
Yeah.
With that Blaine Bloober remaking it, they did amazing on remake, um, and then we're finally gonna see that story,
Yeah,
again.
and that's the thing too with Silent Hill 1 remake is that I'm excited to see what they do with it. Of course, it's going to be a remake for it, but with it being very old and I guess outdated and people are expecting this, I'm looking forward to see what differences they make. That being either narrative wise, gameplay wise. I'm mostly curious to see if they do end up changing the narrative at least a little bit to fit, of course, back then, but also kind of modernize it. So, and then who knows, if they do that, I will definitely be curious to see how Silent Hill 3 will look like, and so on and so on. I wonder if they'll end up touching the other ones, the spin-offs, or I guess you could say the spin-offs, because we have the main uh I guess you could say four, just because they have the number on them. So we have Silent Hill 1, 2, 3, and 4. Afterwards, we get into that other territory of Silent Hill Origins, Book Shattered Memories. What is the other ones?
Homecoming.
Homecoming and Downpour. So, I mean, we'll see what they do with those. I mean, that'd be cool if they end up doing something with them because, hey, who wouldn't want more Silent Hill and who wouldn't want it done right,
Yeah, bro, and I can't wait for the memes. And then, when we got Silent Hill to remake all the memes that they're making, and then the music, bro. I can't
Oh,
wait for the music.
yep, yep. Damn. That's the one thing that I know that they perfect is the music. I mean, shit, look at Silent Hill 2, man. That music just amazing.
Yeah, I remember at the previous job I had, man. I would just I would just put on the soundtrack and just listen to those. It was just it was great. That game was awesome, and I can't wait for this Silent Hill 2. I
Exactly.
mean, Silent Hill remake, and then Silent Hill F. Man, it's gonna be fun next couple years.
Yep. Yeah. So this year and next year, I know I said it, but us survival horror fans are eating very good this year and next year with Silent Hill and then with Resident Evil. And I mean, we still also have Bloober Team's Chronos game coming out as well. I'm pretty sure that's next year as well, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. So yeah, we're in good hands this year, next year. This is gonna wrap up this episode. We appreciate you guys for listening to the very end. Did you want to add anything for the end?
Yeah.
Think we
Yeah, I think we've talked about everything that
Yeah.
we wanted to talk about in this episode. I thank you guys for sticking with us. Check out the YouTube at Chillin' with Death on YouTube. You can check out our new Instagram page. Go ahead and follow us on there. Damien will be taking care of a lot of that stuff on there. We'll be posting up updates on what we're gaming on, throughout the week.
Yeah.
Any type of streaming we might do, any new YouTube videos, you can find
Hmm.
us there. Chilling with Death, and then you can find my personal Instagram. You can send me some messages if you have any questions at deathface_. And then you can follow me on Twitch as well. Maybe I'll do a surprise stream. I don't know. It's Lord Leprosy on Twitch.
You can find me Instagram, Damien Chillin. Just like Deathface mentioned, you can also follow our podcast Instagram, which is Chillin' with Death. Find us on YouTube as well, Chillin' with Death, and you can find me on Twitch, Damien Chillin. We'll, yeah, like how he mentioned, we'll update on the Instagram mostly as to if if there's ever for any reason any change in schedule or a delay of any kind, or yeah, I mean we'll probably end up posting on there like what we're playing throughout the week. You'll definitely you'll definitely hear clips of certain episodes on there as well. So go ahead and check that out. You can find us on Apple Podcasts as well, which I recently did that about 2 weeks ago. So you can find all our podcasts on there, and then of course Spotify as well. Thank you guys. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace out, guys.